The courtroom was silent, except for the ticking of the wall clock and the occasional scratch of a pen on paper. Every eye was focused on the man in the wheelchair. Lucas Hayes, 35 years old, a decorated Marine Corps veteran, was on trial for criminal trespass and using a dangerous animal to cause harm. He sat quietly, hands folded, shoulders square, with an unreadable expression. His service German Shepherd Titan, a strong and sleek black and tan dog, sat faithfully by his side. Titan didn't move, except for his eyes, which stayed locked on the witness stand, sharp and unblinking. Across the room, the prosecutor's voice echoed as she paced in front of the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen, this case is not about medals or military service," she said. "It's about a man struggling with trauma who made a choice. He invaded a private home, attacked a father, and unleashed a trained German Shepherd on a civilian." She pointed straight at Titan. "A German Shepherd bred and trained for combat, not for community." The gallery murmured, some sounding skeptical, others sympathetic. Lucas didn't react. He couldn't, not like before. Years ago, a blast in Hellman had taken away his ability to walk, and nearly took his speech too. Now, every word was a struggle, so he often let silence speak for him. His court-appointed attorney shifted in his seat, clearly struggling against a strong prosecution. On the witness stand, Marcus Vance, the alleged victim, spoke with steady confidence. He just burst into the yard. "No warning. That German Shepherd charged at me for no reason," Marcus Vance said, his voice rising. "I didn't do anything. I was just standing by my own back door." Titan's ears twitched. His gaze grew sharper. He let out a low, controlled growl, so faint that only those nearby could hear it. But Lucas noticed. Lucas's fingers moved slightly, forming a practice hand signal, thumb in, palm tight, 2 fingers down. Their code. Titan stood up. Gasps echoed through the room. The judge looked up sharply. "Control your animal, Mr. Hayes," the judge warned. But Lucas stayed completely still. Titan walked forward, not lunging or growling, just moving with purpose toward the witness stand. His paws tapped softly on the tile floor. The bailiff flinched, unsure if he should step in. Marcus shifted nervously in his seat, his face growing pale. Titan stopped 2 feet away. He barked once, loud and sharp. Marcus jumped in his chair. Titan stepped closer and sniffed at the man's pant leg. Then, with a quick motion, he nosed open Marcus's coat. A child's plastic toy fell out, a small keychain shaped like a cartoon dinosaur, smeared with something dark. The courtroom fell completely silent. The judge stood up slowly, eyes narrowing at the object now lying on the floor. "What is that?" the judge asked. I don't know how that got there," Marcus stammered. "That's not." Titan sat next to the object and looked back at Lucas. Lucas nodded once. The judge turned to the bailiff. "Get that tested. Now." Then she addressed the courtroom firmly. "Court will recess immediately. That German Shepherd just revealed something that changes everything. If this part made your heart pause, maybe it's time to do something simple, like subscribe and let this story keep breathing beyond your screen. And tell us, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. We'd love to hear from you." The distant sound of gunfire still echoed in Lucas's mind. Even now, years later, the red sands of Helmand Province clung to his memories like dust that wouldn't wash away. He had been a platoon sergeant, sharp, focused, steady under pressure. His unit had relied on him, and he had relied on a certain 4-legged teammate. Titan, a military working German Shepherd, trained for reconnaissance and explosive detection. Titan had been young back then, fast and relentless, able to sniff out hidden bombs buried deep under rock and silence. They trusted each other without needing words. In war, that kind of bond wasn't just important, it was survival. But everything changed during a routine sweep outside Lushkar. Lucas's team had just cleared a compound when a hidden device exploded near the back perimeter. The blast tore up the ground. Lucas was thrown several feet through the air. His back slammed hard against a concrete wall. Lucas remembered the burning, the screaming, and seeing Titan, bleeding, one eye closed, whimpering, but still crawling toward him. They were evacuated together. Back in the States, Lucas spent months in recovery. The explosion had damaged his spine beyond repair, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. Worse, shrapnel had hurt his vocal cords, making his speech weak and broken. Doctors told him to prepare for a new kind of life. For most people, that would have meant giving up, but not Lucas. He asked about Titan every single day. When he learned that the military was preparing to retire the German Shepherd because of his injuries and poor vision, Lucas fought hard to adopt him. Paperwork, appeals, medical clearances, none of it mattered. He fought with the same quiet strength he had shown in combat. In the end, they approved the transfer. They were both broken, but they were broken together. Lucas brought Titan home to a small apartment outside Pittsburgh. There were no welcome signs, no family waiting. Just two survivors, scarred and stitched, try to remember what peace felt like. Together, they began the slow journey back. Physical therapy wasn't just for Lucas. It became their shared routine. As Lucas learned to transfer himself from bed to wheelchair without help, Titan learned to stabilize him. As speech therapy helped Lucas regain fragments of his voice, he and Titan developed a system of hand signals. Simple, military-style gestures that only they understood. Titan, clever and fiercely loyal, excelled. He didn't just learn the signals. He learned Lucas's emotions too. A small flicker in Lucas's eyes could make Titan move. A breath held too long would send Titan racing to the phone. It wasn't just training. It was instinct, born from shared trauma. Lucas never tried to be a hero. He didn't want attention. He didn't ask for thanks. He simply lived quietly, purposefully, fixing neighbors' fences, repairing kids' bikes, offering old combat boots to a homeless shelter, always with Titan by his side. Titan was not a service German Shepherd, not a pet. He was a comrade, the only one who would walk through fire and still chose to stay. It all started with a sound Lucas hadn't heard in a long time, a child cry in the dark. It was past midnight. The neighborhood had settled into its usual quiet. Wrapping around the small street, like an old blanket, Lucas was half asleep in his chair. Titan was curled up at his feet. Suddenly, Titan stiffened. His ears stood straight, and his eyes locked on the window. Then came a deep, warning growl. Lucas rolled over and cracked the window open. At first, he heard nothing. Then it came again, a muffled sob, small, strangled, desperate, coming from the house next door. That house had recently been rented by a young couple with a small boy. They had moved in just 2 weeks earlier. Lucas hadn't spoken to them much, just a few waves and glances. But something about the man had always felt off. Instinct took over. Lucas switched on the outdoor security camera he had installed facing the side alley between the two houses. What he saw made his blood run cold. The camera caught the shadow of a man dragging a child by the arm into a dimly lit room. The boy struggled, kicking, his small hands flailing. Then came the unmistakable motion of a slap. And another. Lucas froze. His heart pounded. He grabbed his phone and dialed 911, hand shaking. "I'm reporting suspected child abuse next door," he said. "What's your proof, sir?" the dispatcher asked. "I saw it on camera." "Do you have clear footage of physical harm?" Yes, but it's shadowed. You can hear it, the crying. Without clear visual evidence of abuse, we'll need to file a report and follow up, unless the child is in immediate danger. We cannot intervene at this time." Lucas stared at the phone in disbelief. "He is in immediate danger," he said. "I understand your concerns, sir, but protocol." Lucas hung up, frustrated. He didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, as the dull gray sun rose over the street, there was a knock at his door. Lucas opened it and found the little boy standing there, shivering, barefoot, with a swollen cheek and bruises blooming across his small arms. He couldn't have been more than 6 years old. The boy didn't speak. He just looked up at Lucas, then stepped forward and curled into his chest. Lucas didn't hesitate. He brought the boy inside, wrapped him in a blanket, and gave him water. Then he called Child Protective Services directly. While they waited, Lucas showed the boy Titan, who lay gently by his side, wagging his tail softly. "This is Titan," Lucas whispered. "He protects people. You're safe now." Hours later, Just as a caseworker arrived, the boy's father burst to the front door, red-faced and furious. "You think you can steal my kid?" he shouted, fists clenched. Lucas tried to block the way, but his wheelchair couldn't move fast enough. Before the man could reach him, Titan sprang forward, a blur of fur and fury. He barreled between Lucas and the man, barking so loudly it rattled the walls. When the man lunged, Titan bit his arm, not to hurt but to stop him. The man screamed and stumbled back just as a caseworker and CPS security rushed in, but the damage was done. The man filed charges, claiming Lucas had kidnapped his son, trespassed onto private property, and used a weaponized German Shepherd to cause harm. He painted himself as a victim, and Lucas as an unstable veteran who had snapped. The story spread quickly. By the time the court date was set, the local media had branded Lucas as the unstable war hero who let his German Shepherd attack an innocent father. But Lucas didn't respond. He didn't chase interviews or defend himself online. He waited, and so did Titan. The courtroom felt colder than usual that morning. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead as the proceedings resumed. Lucas sat quietly in his wheelchair, hands resting in his lap. Beside him, Titan sat still as stone, posture alert, eyes scanning every movement. Across the room, Marissa Vance, the child's mother, took the witness stand. Her eyes were glassy, her voice practiced. It was clear she had been coached. "My husband, he's not a violent man," she said, staring straight ahead. "There must have been a misunderstanding. He wouldn't hurt our son, not intentionally." Lucas didn't blink. He didn't speak, but his jaw tightened slightly. The prosecutor nodded. "And to your knowledge, did Mr. Hayes ever enter your property without permission?" "No," Marissa replied. "I never saw him do that. Did he ever threaten you or your husband?" She hesitated. "No." A long pause filled the courtroom. Then, slowly, Lucas raised his right hand, fingers curling into a sharp, practice signal. Titan's ears twitched. He rose calmly and began walking toward the witness stand. The bailiff instinctively stepped forward, but the judge raised a hand. Let him proceed. The room held its breath. Titan stopped in front of Marissa. She tensed visibly. Her hand slipped instinctively into the inside pocket of her coat. Titan moved his nose toward it. Slow, deliberate. Then, in one gentle motion, he nudged his snout into the fabric and pulled out a small child's necklace. It was simple, a blue string with a plastic star charm. But the star was cracked, and the cord was stained with dried blood. Gasps filled the courtroom. Marissa's face turned pale. The judge leaned forward. "Miss Vance, do you recognize this?" I don't know where that came from," she stammered. It's not mine." From the back of the room, a small voice rang out. "That's mine." Everyone turned. Sitting in the gallery was a CPS worker. The small boy stood, trembling. "That's my necklace. He broke it." Tears ran down his cheeks. "Valor saved me." The courtroom fell completely silent. Then the boy ran down the aisle, straight to Titan, and threw his arms around the German Shepherd's neck. Titan licked his cheek once and let out a soft, reassuring whine. The judge looked from the necklace to the boy, then to Marissa, who had begun to cry silently, her face full of shame. She whispered, "I didn't know how to stop him." The prosecutor scrambled, trying to recover. "Objection! This is emotional manipulation. The German Shepherd is being used to—" The judge cut him off, her voice calm but firm. "Sit down, counselor." She turned her eyes back to Lucas, then to Titan. "I've seen trained German Shepherds follow orders," she said slowly, "but I've never seen one deliver justice." She took a deep breath and addressed the courtroom. "This proceeding is no longer about Mr. Hayes. It's about something much deeper. I'm ordering an immediate investigation into the home life of David and Marissa Vance. The charges against Mr. Hayes are hereby suspended, pending dismissal." Lucas exhaled slowly. Titan returned to his side, lying down again as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But the truth had spoken, loud and clear. When the ruling was made official, Lucas didn't celebrate. There were no cheers, no raised fists, Just a quiet nod of gratitude and the gentle touch of his hand on Titan's head. The charges were dropped. He was free. David Vance was arrested days later after the investigation confirmed the abuse. The little boy was placed in protective custody, finally safe, and the video of Titan uncovering the necklace in court exploded across the internet. 12 million views in a week, picked up by every major news outlet. The headlines read, "Silent Hero, German Shepherd exposes abuse in shocking courtroom moment. Veteran and service German Shepherd saved child. Exposed truth. Reporters flooded Lucas's small home. Book offers, documentary deals, talk show invites, all came at once. But he declined them all. No, thank you, he said to one journalist. This story wasn't for profit. It was for one boy who didn't have a voice. Instead, Lucas took the donations people had sent and used them to launch a small nonprofit, Hands and Paws. Its mission was simple: to train service German shepherds for veterans dealing with speech limitations, post-traumatic stress disorder, and physical disabilities, especially for those who, like Lucas once had, felt they had no place left in the world. Within a year, Hands and Paws was helping dozens of veterans across the state. Some came in broken, haunted, unsure of their future. They left with a partner, a purpose, and a new reason to move forward. And Titan, he became the heart of it all. One fall afternoon, Lucas rolled into a local elementary school auditorium for a speaking event. It was Veterans Week, and the school had invited him and Titan to talk to the students about service, courage, and resilience. The kid sat wide-eyed, hanging on his every word. He didn't speak much, but when he did, his words were measured and meaningful. The rest, he let Titan show. At the end of the talk, a girl in the front row raised her hand. Her voice was soft. "Mr. Hayes, does Titan really know what justice means?" Lucas looked down at the German shepherd lying quietly at his feet, his tail tapping gently on the floor. He smiled. "No," he said, "but he knows what love means." He paused. "And that's all justice ever is." The room fell into a soft silence, then erupted into applause. Titan looked up at Lucas, then back at the children, as if he understood every word. And maybe he did. Some truths can't be spoken aloud. Some pain is too deep, too raw for shouting. But sometimes a steady gaze, a quiet act, and a loyal companion standing guard are enough to say everything. Lucas and Titan didn't need speeches. One was a soldier, broken in body. The other, a German shepherd left behind by war. But together, they built something unbreakable, a story of trust, honor, and quiet justice. They didn't scream. They didn't plead. They simply showed up for each other, for a child, and for the truth. Because sometimes the loudest voice in the room is silence. And sometimes a single bark at just the right moment is enough to shake the world awake. This is not just a story about a man and his German shepherd. It's about what happens when love refuses to give up and when loyalty becomes a language all its own. Because in the end, truth doesn't always need to be heard. It just needs to be seen. Thank you for watching this powerful story of Lucas and Titan, a bond forged in silence, tested by adversity, and proven in the most unexpected of ways. Their journey reminds us that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper shared between a man and his German shepherd. Sometimes it's a quiet signal that reveals a truth the world tried to ignore. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or made you believe again in the power of loyalty and love, we invite you to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Amazing Paw Stories. Here, we bring you real emotional stories that celebrate the unbreakable bonds between people and their animals. Stories of rescue, resilience, and redemption. If this scene meant something to you, imagine who else it could reach. Like the video. Subscribe now and help pass this feeling on. Oh, and tell us where you're watching from. Your country means a lot to us. Comment below. This is Amazing Paw Stories. Because some heroes don't speak. They simply stay.